I, 34F, have been married to Nicholas, 35M, for 15 years, and we've been together for 20 years total. We have 2 children, Kaylee, 13F, and Noah, 11M, who we adore and work hard to provide the best life for. For the past few years, our marriage has been rocky, and I've been struggling to understand why. Nicholas and I met in high school when we were both 14. It was during a school play. I was working on the set design, and he was part of the tech crew. We bonded over our shared love of theater and spent countless hours working on school productions together. We started dating a few months later and quickly became inseparable. Our families had very different reactions to our relationship. My parents were supportive, seeing Nicholas as a good influence. He was studious and respectful, and they appreciated how he encouraged me to focus on my studies. Nicholas's parents, on the other hand, were more skeptical. They worried we were too young and that our relationship would distract us from our goals. Despite the concerns of Nicholas's parents, we stayed together throughout high school. We had our fair share of teenage drama, petty fights, jealousies, and misunderstandings, but we always found our way back to each other. By the time we graduated, we were convinced we were meant to be together forever. We got married young, at 19, right after our first year of college. Looking back, I realize how naive we were. We thought love would conquer all, that we could handle anything life threw at us as long as we were together. Nicholas's parents were not happy about our decision, but my parents helped us plan a small, intimate wedding in our backyard. The first year of marriage was a whirlwind. We were both full-time students, working part-time jobs to make ends meet. We lived in a tiny studio apartment near campus, surviving on ramen noodles and dreams of a better future. Despite the challenges, we were happy. We'd stay up late studying together, dreaming about our future home, our careers, and the family we wanted to build. Then, just before our second wedding anniversary, I found out I was pregnant with Kaylee. It wasn't planned, and we were terrified. We were still in college, barely able to support ourselves, let alone a baby. But after the initial shock wore off, we became excited about the prospect of becoming parents. I had to take a semester off when Kaylee was born, but Nicholas doubled down on his studies, determined to graduate on time. His parents, who had been distant since our wedding, stepped up to help with childcare so I could return to school. It was a challenging time, but it brought us closer as a couple and helped heal the rift with Nicholas's family. 2 years after Kaylee was born, Noah came along. This time, we were a bit more prepared, but it was still overwhelming. I had just started my first job out of college, and Nicholas was climbing the corporate ladder in an IT firm. We were constantly exhausted, juggling 2 young children, full-time jobs, and trying to maintain our relationship. The early years of parenting were tough. We struggled financially, often relying on help from our parents. There were nights when we'd argue about money, about whose turn it was to do the night feedings, about the division of household chores. But we always managed to work through our issues, reminding ourselves that we were in this together. As the years went by, things improved financially. Nicholas got a great job in IT, and I started my own small business from home, an online craft store that allowed me to be there for the kids after school. We were finally able to buy a house in a good school district and provide a stable life for our children. However, as our financial situation improved, our relationship began to suffer. We were so focused on our careers and the kids that we started to neglect our marriage. Date nights became a thing of the past, replaced by work meetings and children's activities. Physical intimacy dwindled, and when it did happen, it felt more like a chore than an expression of love. For the past 3 years, things have been particularly difficult. We've had very little intimacy and hardly any sex. I've tried to talk to Nicholas about it, but he always brushes it off, saying he's tired from work or stressed about other things. I've suggested date nights, couples activities, even a weekend getaway, but he never seems interested. I've watched as Nicholas has become more and more distant. He spends more time at work, often coming home late and immediately burying himself in his laptop. When he is home, he's distracted, constantly checking his phone or zoning out in front of the TV. It's like he's physically present but emotionally absent. This past year has been the worst. We barely talk anymore, except about the kids or household matters. It feels like we're just roommates sharing a house and co-parenting our children. The atmosphere at home has become tense and gloomy. I've cried myself to sleep many nights, wondering what went wrong and how we got to this point. I've tried to rekindle the spark in our marriage. I've dressed up for dinner, tried to engage him in conversations about topics he used to love, even surprised him with tickets to see his favorite band. But nothing seems to work. It's like he's looking right through me, not really seeing me anymore. Last week, I finally confronted Nicholas about the state of our marriage. I was hoping for a heart-to-heart conversation where we could address our issues and work on rebuilding our relationship. Instead, what I heard shattered my world. Nicholas told me he no longer feels in love with me. He said he loves me as a friend and the mother of his children, but he doesn't have romantic feelings for me anymore. He admitted he's been feeling this way for a while but didn't know how to tell me. He said he only sees me as his best friend and that's why he hasn't been interested in intimacy or sex. I was devastated. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. How could the man I've loved for 20 years, the father of my children, suddenly not be in love with me anymore? I asked him if there was someone else, but he assured me there wasn't. He said he just doesn't feel the same way about me anymore and doesn't know why. When I pressed him for more explanation, he mentioned feeling trapped. He said he feels like we got married and had kids too young, that we never got to experience life as individuals. He talked about feeling like he missed out on his 20s, on the chance to travel, to figure out who he is outside of our relationship. I've been a mess since that conversation. I can't eat, can't sleep, and can barely function. I'm trying to keep it together for the kids, but it's so hard. I still love Nicholas deeply and can't imagine my life without him. The thought of our family breaking apart is unbearable. I don't know what to do. I've suggested marriage counseling, but Nicholas seems lukewarm about the idea. He says he's not sure it will help since his feelings have changed. I'm afraid he's already checked out of our marriage and is just staying for the kids. I'm lost and confused. How do you fall out of love with someone after 20 years together? Is there any hope for us, or should I start preparing myself for the end of my marriage? Has anyone been through something similar and managed to rekindle their relationship? I could really use some advice or words of encouragement. I feel like my whole world is falling apart, and I don't know how to put it back together. How do I navigate this new reality? How do I tell our children if things don't work out? How do I start over at 34 if my marriage ends? Update 1. It's been about a month since my last post, and I wanted to give an update on my situation. First, I want to thank everyone for their kind words, advice, and support. It meant a lot during this difficult time. After my last post, I decided to take some of the advice I received and focus on myself for a while. I realized I had lost myself in being a wife and mother, and it was time to rediscover who I am as an individual. I started by joining a local gym and committing to working out 3 times a week. It's been great for my physical and mental health. The endorphin rush after a good workout has been helping me cope with the stress and emotional turmoil. I've even made a few acquaintances at the gym, which has been nice. It's been so long since I've had friends outside of other school moms. I've also rekindled my passion for painting, something I gave up years ago when the kids were born. Back in high school and college, art was my escape. I used to spend hours in the art studio, losing myself in colors and textures. When Kaylee was born, I packed away my easel and brushes, thinking I'd get back to it someday. Well, that someday is now. I've set up a small studio in our spare room and have been spending a few hours each week creating art. It's been incredibly therapeutic to express my emotions on canvas. As for Nicholas, things are still tense between us. He's been spending more time at work and with his friends. When he is home, he's distant and often glued to his phone. I've tried to engage him in conversation about our relationship, but he always finds a way to change the subject or says he's too tired to talk. Last week, I discovered something that made me question everything. I was doing laundry and found a receipt in Nicholas's pocket for an expensive restaurant in the city. The date on the receipt was for a night he told me he was working late. When I confronted him about it, he got defensive and accused me of spying on him. He eventually admitted he had dinner with a female coworker but insisted it was just a work meeting. I don't know if I believe him. The old me would have accepted his explanation without question, but now I'm not so sure. I can't help but wonder if there's more to the story. Is this why he's fallen out of love with me? Has he found someone else? The incident brought back memories of the early days of our relationship. Nicholas had always been popular with girls in high school, and there were times when I felt insecure. But he always reassured me that I was the only one for him. Now, I find myself questioning everything. Was I just naive all along? Despite my suspicions, I'm trying not to jump to conclusions. I've decided to give Nicholas some space while I continue to work on myself. I've also reached out to a lawyer to understand my options, just in case. It's not that I want a divorce, but I need to be prepared for all possibilities. The conversation with the lawyer was eye-opening. She explained the process of divorce, talked about child custody arrangements, and discussed how our assets might be divided. It all felt so surreal, like I was talking about someone else's life. But she also emphasized that consulting a lawyer doesn't mean I'm committed to getting a divorce. It's just about being informed and prepared. The kids have started to notice the tension between us. Kaylee, being older, has asked me directly if everything is okay between her dad and me. It breaks my heart to see the worry in her eyes. I've tried to reassure her without revealing too much, but I know she senses something is wrong. Noah, on the other hand, has been acting out at school. His teacher called last week to let us know he's been getting into fights with other kids. When I tried to talk to him about it, he shut down. I can't help but feel guilty, wondering if our marital problems are affecting him more than we realize. I've been thinking a lot about my parents and how they might react if Nicholas and I split up. They've always been so supportive of our relationship. In fact, they often held us up as an example of a successful marriage to my younger siblings. The thought of disappointing them is almost as painful as the thought of my marriage ending. I'm still holding on to hope that Nicholas and I can work things out, but I'm also preparing myself for the possibility that our marriage might be over. It's a scary thought, but I'm trying to stay strong for myself and my children. In the meantime, I'm focusing on being the best mother I can be. I've been making an effort to spend quality time with Kaylee and Noah, helping them with their homework, and trying to maintain a sense of normalcy in their lives. We've started having family game nights on Fridays, even though Nicholas often begs off, claiming he's too tired. I've also been thinking about my career. My online craft store has been doing well, but I'm considering expanding it. Maybe this is an opportunity to turn it into something bigger, to secure my financial future in case I need to support myself and the kids on my own. It's strange to think about the future without Nicholas by my side. We've been together for so long, I can hardly remember what it's like to be on my own. The thought is terrifying, but also somewhat exhilarating. Who would I be if I weren't Nicholas's wife? What could I accomplish on my own? I'll keep you updated on any new developments. Again, thank you all for your support during this challenging time. Your words of encouragement and shared experiences have been a lifeline for me. It helps to know I'm not alone in this struggle. Update 2. It's been 2 months since my last update, and a lot has happened. I wish I had better news to share, but unfortunately, things have taken a turn for the worse. After finding the restaurant receipt, I couldn't shake the feeling that Nicholas was hiding something. I hate to admit it, but I decided to do some digging. I know it wasn't the right thing to do, but I felt like I had no choice. I checked his phone bill and found numerous calls and texts to a number I didn't recognize, often late at night or during work hours. With a heavy heart, I confronted Nicholas about what I found. At first, he tried to deny it, but when I showed him the evidence, he broke down and confessed. He's been having an affair with his co-worker, Lisa, for the past 6 months. He claims it started as just a friendship but developed into something more. I was devastated. All this time, I thought we were working on our marriage, but he was building a relationship with someone else. The betrayal cut deep, and I felt like a fool for not seeing it earlier. The revelation brought back painful memories from my childhood. My uncle had cheated on my aunt when I was a teenager, and I remember the pain it caused our entire family. I never thought I'd find myself in a similar situation. The irony is that Nicholas was the one who comforted me back then, assuring me that he would never do something like that to me. Nicholas says he wants to end the affair and work on our marriage, but I don't know if I can trust him again. He's moved into the guest room, and we've told the kids that we're going through a rough patch and need some space. Kaylee and Noah are upset and confused, and it breaks my heart to see them hurting. I've been seeing a therapist to help me process everything, and it's been helpful. She's encouraging me to focus on my own healing and not make any hasty decisions about the future of my marriage. We've been working through my feelings of betrayal and discussing ways to rebuild my self-esteem. I've also confided in my sister and a few close friends. Their support has been invaluable during this time. My sister has been staying with us a few days a week to help with the kids and provide emotional support. It's been comforting to have her around, reminding me of the strong family bonds I have outside of my marriage. As for Nicholas, he says he's committed to rebuilding our marriage, but his actions don't always match his words. He's still working late and is often distracted when he's home. I caught him texting several times, and although he claims it's work-related, I can't help but be suspicious. The kids are struggling with the changes in our household. Kaylee has become withdrawn, spending more time in her room and less time with her friends. Noah's behavior at school has improved, but now he's having nightmares and often crawls into my bed in the middle of the night. I'm doing my best to reassure them, but it's hard when I'm feeling so uncertain myself. I'm at a crossroads now. Part of me wants to fight for my marriage and the family we've built together. We have so much history, so many shared dreams and goals. The thought of throwing that all away is heartbreaking. But another part of me wonders if it's worth it. Can I ever trust Nicholas again? Can we rebuild what we've lost? I'm taking things one day at a time and trying to stay strong for my kids. I've started looking into my options for the future, including potentially going back to school to update my skills if I need to re-enter the workforce full-time. I've also been putting more energy into my online craft store, and sales have been steadily increasing. There are moments when I feel strong and ready to face whatever comes next, and other moments when I'm overwhelmed by sadness and fear. The future I had always imagined for myself, growing old with Nicholas, watching our children graduate and start families of their own, enjoying our retirement together, now seems like a distant dream. But I'm trying to stay positive. Whether Nicholas and I work things out or not, I know I'll get through this. I'm stronger than I ever gave myself credit for, and I'm discovering reserves of resilience I never knew I had. Thank you all for your continued support. Your kind words and shared experiences have been a source of comfort during this difficult time. I'll update again when I have more news to share. Update 3. It's been 6 months since my last update, and I wanted to share the latest developments in my situation. A lot has changed, and I'm in a very different place now compared to where I was when I first posted. After much soul-searching and numerous attempts to salvage our marriage, I've decided to file for divorce from Nicholas. It wasn't an easy decision, but I believe it's the right one for me and my children. In the months following Nicholas's confession about his affair, we tried marriage counseling. We went to sessions twice a week for 3 months, but it became clear that the trust between us was irreparably broken. Nicholas continued to be evasive about his relationship with Lisa, and I caught him in several lies during this period. The final straw came when I discovered that Nicholas had been planning a weekend getaway with Lisa, all while telling me he was committed to our marriage. It was at that moment that I realized I deserved better, and so did our children. I've moved out of our family home with Kaylee and Noah. We're staying with my sister for now while I look for a place of our own. The kids are adjusting as well as can be expected. They're understandably upset, but I'm doing my best to provide them with stability and reassurance during this difficult time. Kaylee has been my rock through all of this. Despite her young age, she's shown incredible maturity and strength. She's been helping with Noah and even offered to get a part-time job to contribute to our expenses, which I gently declined. Noah is struggling more, but he's been seeing a child therapist who's helping him process his emotions. As for me, I'm focusing on rebuilding my life. I've enrolled in some online courses to update my skills and am exploring job opportunities. My small business has been growing, and I'm considering expanding it into a full-time venture. The support from my customers has been overwhelming. Many of them have become repeat buyers after hearing about my situation. I've also continued with my therapy sessions, which have been incredibly helpful in processing my emotions and building my self-esteem. I'm learning to love myself again and to recognize my worth outside of my role as a wife and mother. The divorce proceedings are underway, and while it's been stressful, I'm looking forward to closing this chapter of my life and starting anew. Nicholas and I are trying to keep things amicable for the sake of our children, but it's been challenging at times. There are days when the hurt and anger resurface, but I'm trying to focus on the future rather than dwelling on the past. My parents, who I was so worried about disappointing, have been incredibly supportive. They've reminded me that their love is unconditional and that they're proud of me for having the courage to stand up for myself. Their support has been a huge comfort during this difficult time. Looking back on my original post, I can hardly believe how far I've come. The pain and confusion I felt then have been replaced by a sense of purpose and hope for the future. While this isn't the outcome I had hoped for when I first reached out for advice, I'm proud of myself for having the courage to make this difficult decision. To anyone out there going through a similar situation, know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. It may not seem like it now, but you have the strength within you to overcome this and create a better life for yourself. Thank you all for your support throughout this journey. Your kind words and advice have been a source of comfort and strength during the darkest times. I'm grateful for this community and the help it's provided me. As I move forward into this new chapter of my life, I'm both nervous and excited. I know there will be challenges ahead, but I also know that I'm capable of facing them. For the first time in a long time, I'm looking forward to the future and the possibilities it holds.